So, very good evening. So, today's topic is transportation problems. So, what is transportation problem? Transportation problem is a special type of linear programming problem where the objective consists in a minimizing transportation cost of a given commodity from a number of sources or origins. For example, factory, manufacturing facility to a number of destination, warehouse, and store. And so there are three types of transportation problem. The first one is a northwest corner method, and second thing is a least cost method, and the third thing is a Ogle's approximation method. So let's do a problem regarding a northwest corner method. So here the problem is all about there is a given three source called 1 2 3 and a destination d1 d2 d3 d4 respectively. And for the source 0 1 2 and 3, the supply is 300, 400, and 500 respectively, and the destination d1 d2 and d3 have the demands of 250, 350, 400, and 200 respectively. The solution goes in like in this manner. So according to the northwest corner method, 0 1 and d1 has to be starting point, that is that the northwest corner of the table. Each and every value in the cell is considered as a cost per transportation. Compare the demand for column d1 and supply from the source 1 and allocate the minimum of 2 to the cells 1 and d1 as shown in the figure. The demand for the column d1 is completed so that the entire column d1 will be cancelled. The supply from the 1 remains, like it may declines like 300 minus 250, it will be into 50. And now from the remaining table excluding the column d1, check the northwest corner method, that is 0 1 and d2, and allocate the minimum among the supply for the respective columns and the row. The supply from 1 is 50, which is less than the demand for d2, so allocate the 50 to the cell 0 1 and d2. Since the supply from the row is completed, cancel the row 1. The demand for d2 remains 350 minus 50 is equals to 300, so that the first row will be cancelled. From the remaining table, the northwest corner cell is 2 and d2. The minimum among the supply will be uh, from the source is 0 to, that is 400, and the demand for the column d2 is 300. So allocate 300 to the cell is 2 and d2. The demand for the column d2 is completed, so that to cancel the column and the remaining supply from the source is 400 minus 300. Likewise, we'll be doing to the end till for on a remaining column, and you'll be get an answer called 250 into 3 plus 50 into 1 plus 300 into 6 plus 100 into 5 plus 300 into 3, and 200 into 4400. And in this manner we'll be doing the northwest corner method. And and let's move on to the next method called least cost method. Least cost method is another set of transportation problem. We'll be choosing the same problem to least cost method also. According to the least cost method, the least cost among all the cells in the table has to be found, which is 1. In this table the least number is 1, so cell is 0 1 and d2. Now check the supply from the row 1 and demand for the column d2 and allocate the smaller value to the cell, and the smaller value is 300, so allocate this to the cell. The supply from 1 is completed, so cancel this row, and the remaining demand for the column d2 is 350 minus 300 is equals to 50. And now find the cell with the least cost among the remaining cells. There are two cells with the least cost is 0 2 d1 and 0 3 and d4 with cost 2. Let's select 2 and d1. Now find the demand and supply for the respective cell. Allocate the minimum among them to the cell and cancel the row or column whose supply or demand becomes 0 after allocation. Now cell with the least cost is 3, d4 with the cost 2. Allocate the cell with 200 as the demand is smaller than supply, so column gets cancelled. There are two cells among the unallocated cells that have the least cost. Choose any at a random, say 3 and d2. Allocate this cell with a minimum among the supply from the respective row and the demand of the respective column. Cancel the row or column with a 0 value. Now the cell with the least cost is 3 and d3. Allocate the minimum of the supply and demand and cancel the row or column with 0. The only remaining cell is 2 and d3 with the cost is supply and is 150 and the demand is 150, that is the demand and supply both are equal. Allocate this to the cell and we get the final answer like 300 into 1 300 into 1 and 250 into 2 and 150 into 5 plus 50 into 3 plus 250 into 3 plus 200 into 2. It's called total answer will be for a least cost method is 2850. And let's go to the next topic, Vogel's approximation method. So Vogel's approximation method, we are choosing the same problem for this one also. The solution goes in this manner: for each row find the least value and the second least value and take the absolute difference uh, of this two least value and write it in the corresponding row difference as shown in the image below. In the row 1 is the least value and 3 is the second least value and their absolute difference is 2. Similarly, for row 2 and 3, the absolute difference are 3 and 1 respectively. For each column, find the least value and the second least value and do it in the same manner as for the row and column also. And next step will be these values of row difference and column difference are also called as penalty. Now select the maximum penalty. The maximum penalty is 3, that is the row 2. Now find the cell with the least cost in row 3, row 2 and allocate the minimum among the supply of the respective row and demand of the respective column. Demand is smaller than the supply, so allocate the column's demand, that is 250, to the cell, then cancel the column D1. From the remaining cell, found out the row difference and the column difference. Again select the maximum penalty and do it in to the till end, and you get an answer called 300 into 1 plus 250 into 2 plus 50 into 3 plus 250 into 3 plus 200 into 2 plus 150 into 5. We get a total answer of 2850. And this is all about the today's session.